The glass falls like a shadow, swift and silent, a dark blur swooping through the wet sky. For weeks, the cracked window on the 29th floor of the CNA building strained against the adhesive film that held it in place 340 feet above the ground, expanding almost imperceptibly in the heat of the afternoon sun, contracting with the nighttime chill. Cracks slowly crept across its surface, pieces pushing and pulling with each gust of wind. This is a two-part series called Danger from Above about a woman who was killed by a piece of falling glass in the Chicago Loop. It was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize in Explanatory Reporting. The reason I happened upon that story was because my editor at the time walked by me in the newsroom and said, "That woman who was killed by the glass the other week, there might be a story there." It had been about 3 weeks earlier when Ana Flores had been killed, and it was on the evening news, it was in the paper, and then that was it. You never heard anything else about it. And so when my editor mentioned it to me as an idea, I went back and I reread our newspaper's story and looked at some of the other coverage, and I thought, oh, I think there could be something here, something bigger than what we think. And the thing that really stayed with me throughout the whole course of reporting the story was just this question of fate. I kept thinking about all the stops and starts in this woman's life that had inevitably led up to this moment where she was standing in this one spot at that exact time that the glass came out of the window, and wondering how that came to be and what did it mean. And that, for me, truly was the motivation for writing the story. It was what propelled me through the reporting. I always look at that story as a story with two characters, and Ana is one, and the other character is the building. And the whole story is about how do these two characters meet and what happens when they do. But for me, I couldn't imagine writing that story in a way that said, a Tribune investigation has found blah, 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 blah. That wasn't the story to me. There was this power and emotion in her life and what happened to her. And I thought the way to make the reader care was not to treat it like a standard investigative story. I think if you can tell a good story, you can reach out and grab somebody into that. That's what I worry about getting lost. The stories of people who don't fit neatly into a niche, into a demographic or a target or a nicely defined audience segment. I think those are the stories that help us understand why we're human and why we're here, and what it means to be part of this world, and what responsibility we have to one another. I mean, that's the joy of it to me, is getting to wander into all those worlds and try to understand them, and then to wander back out and try and explain them to other people. I'd like to think it also had a broader but perhaps subtler impact for the people who read it, who got, I hope, swept into that world for a little while and understood what this woman's life was like, and the impact the accident had on her family, and what the value of an individual life meant in a broader context.